Hey all, it's me, Stephanie, and I'm back at it again with another awards show. The formatting this time around will be a little different. I picked a certain amount of things I wanted to talk about that I experienced this year, meaning I came up with the awards after selecting all the media. That means there won't be any honourable mentions for each award. Although near the end I will quickly mention some other things I really enjoyed, but not enough to talk about further. Also, I will be discussing spoilers this time around, but I'll make sure to leave timestamps both in and out of the video, and I will detail what exactly is spoiled. But please, for the love of God, skip a section if you have not watched or played the thing I'm talking about. I don't want any of y'all watching me spoil something just because you don't care and then regretting that because you realize how awesome the thing I spoiled is. And I could not give a shit about viewer retention or anything of the sort, so don't mind any of that. Now, without further ado,
tell him to bring out the lobster!
First to step up to the plate is a silly little award by the name of the Silly Little Guy Award, for the silliest of little guys out there. I used to be pretty into reading up until my sleep schedule got absolutely fucked and I was no longer able to read before going to bed. Now, within the past year, I've gotten back into reading with manga, and by far my favourite manga I've read so far is Yotsuba. Nowhere else can you get a better mix of pure childlike whimsy with whatever the fuck Yotsuba gets up to. Like, what the hell is even going on here? Yotsuba's not the only silly little guy either. Basically, the entire cast is. Everyone has their own little quirks to enhance Yotsuba's weirdness whilst also giving their own unique flair of comedy. Every situation the crew gets into is a wonderful experience of joy and laughter. And with the way Yotsuba thinks about the world, you truly get to appreciate things in a different light. Has this ever happened to you? Well, do I have the award for you? It's for the best out there, and the winner is... From one cast of silly little guys to another, we have Bocchi the Rock. I had a similar experience to this show as I did with Komi-san last year, where it helped me understand my issues with socializing. And while it was a great aid, my problems were never quenched. This is where Bocchi the Rock comes into play. I instantly fell in love with its small cast of weirdos, and I'd spend hours listening to the Kosoku Band album. I was definitely obsessed. Unfortunately, it took me a while to truly appreciate everything the show had to offer. It wasn't until my rewatch when I finally understood everything Hitori was going through. She needed to understand that it was fine to be her. She didn't need to become a different person. I grew so hard during that final performance at the school festival. We see Hitori take the final transition into becoming her own self. And that scene is everything. It is what finally broke me. This awards winner was a late entry into the show, but I so instantly became infatuated with everything this anime is that I just had to fit it into the script. I say this as if I was almost finished the video, but I barely even finished writing the awards. The Music to My Ears award goes to Sound Euphonium. Pun unintended, this show hits every note for me to immediately consider it my new favourite show of all time. It's got banger music, it's got tense drama, it's got lesbian romance that they keep teasing but don't really go anywhere, and I'm just like, come on, do you want these guys to be gay or not? Make up your goddamn mind! It's not so often I appreciate music past it just being an absolute banger, but Sound Euphonium was one of those times. Everything from the full performance of Crescent Moon Dance to Reina's beautiful solo in said song, and the titular Sound Euphonium. Of course, none of these pieces of music would be nearly as powerful if it wasn't backed up by the incredibly engaging and emotional drama. Hearing these performances is always the climactic finale to not only the arc of the band as a whole, but every individual's worries and struggles. And I, of course, need to give a shout out to Kumiko's VA Tomoyo Kurosawa, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, for one of the most powerful emotional scenes in any show. This confrontation between Kumiko and Asaka had me drenched in tears. I also just want to quickly mention just one scene. The band side to side is adorable, and huge props to Hazuki for her absolutely incredible bari sax solo. Now we move on from the world of not video games to the world of not video games, but not entirely or something. I don't really know what I'm talking about. There's one series on YouTube that I've been having an absolute blast with this year, and that's Good Vibes Gaming's NSO Game Club. I've always wanted to give more Nintendo Switch Online games a shot, but there's just so many and I don't even know where to start. So it was absolutely perfect timing when GVG decided to start this game club. I have also always wanted to do a book club type of thing for video games, so that's another bonus. I've played a great variety of retro games because of this series, and while they aren't always too great of games, it's still a lot of fun to experience and see what it's all about. Top of all this, I get to listen to a pretty fun podcast episode at the end of the week. I've already talked a bit about music with Bocchi the Rock and Sound Euphonium, but those were dumb, icky anime that I love with all my heart. So now let's get into the real stuff. Cause holy smokes, my ears are on fire with how much this slaps. That's right, it's fucking Edward, baby. If you've ever been wanted for murder and hear this absolute banger play throughout the courtroom walls, then you know you're well and truly absolutely fucked. Now let's just sit and appreciate this jam for a bit. Alright, let's move on now. Today I'm here to present the epic and awesome The Tupi Award. And you wouldn't believe it, but the winner is Pokémon Violet, aka the home of my beloved Tupi. I've always wanted to get into the mainline Pokemon games, but it's been quite hard to do so. I did play Legends Arceus last year, but it's evidently a different experience. With Pokemon Violet, I was finally able to get a taste of that turn-based formula, which I haven't experienced since Pokemon X on the 3DS. The open world format of Scarlet Violet was quite a unique change to the series prior, yet it was certainly a welcome one. It wasn't a perfect transformation, yet it was still one filled with fun and adventure. I specifically avoided any unofficial content such as leaks or let's plays, meaning I went in as blind as the trailers would allow. Arvin's and Penny's storylines were particularly surprising to see and genuinely made me tear up towards the end. Of course, the best part was seeing all the game's fantastic character designs for both the Pokemon and trainers alike, with my favourite being my beloved Tupi. I so absolutely loved getting to create my own team. I grew so attached to the crew by the end of the game. Tupi, Soup, Doma, Bumblin, Yaron, and Water. They were there throughout most of my Pokemon Violet experience, and I will never forget them. When you're rolling around at the speed of sound, you don't get to stop and appreciate the small things in life. Cute girls, beautiful beaches, effervescent nightclubs. Come on down to heaven to experience this and so much more. Neon White is sick as fuck. This was one of the games I wanted to play the most last year, and I even mentioned it in my awards show last year. And I am so glad I got to play it. The entire game's design is built around one thing: speed. And they did a fucking fantastic job at it. I won't get too into it and instead refer you to someone who's better at talking about stuff. The GMTK video about Neon White will be linked in the description. What I will talk more about is everything outside of the game design. The art style is so simple, yet it does so much. It's giving Mirror's Edge and a fuck ton of it. The dialogue, while absolute garbage, knows it's cringy as hell, and that just makes it all the more fun. This specifically made me laugh so hard at the start of the game. Each of the main characters has a climactic finale if you grab all their presents. This comes in the form of unique challenge levels, each representing the individual person via extremely unique level design. Violet's levels specifically really make me wish this game had some sort of level editor. I would kill to see what kind of hot garbage could be produced from that. The Calcium Award will actually be going to 2 games, and maybe that's cheating, but this is my show, so shut up and go lick a cat. Milk inside a bag of milk inside a bag of milk, and milk outside a bag of milk outside a bag of milk were quite a surprising duology. Horror is a genre I'm quite fascinated by, but I've always struggled playing any horror games. The reason being it's hard to push myself past this scary little bad guy that's trying to chase me. I adore the psychological horror subgenre because of this. Majority of the time, I don't have to worry about being chased, so I get to appreciate the story and atmosphere more than usual. This is why when I randomly saw a game called Milk Inside a Bag of Milk Inside a Bag of Milk and Milk Outside a Bag of Milk Outside a Bag of Milk, which is already eye-catching enough on my subfeed, and it turned out to be an incredibly interesting visual novel psychological horror that dissects the outlook and thoughts of a girl with psychosis. I just knew I needed to get my hands on it. The first of the two is quite a short endeavour, being only an hour long, but it sets up for the sequel fantastically while still delivering its own little experience. The sequel though is a lot longer and has multiple endings. You get to know the main character on a more personal level as you figure out how she thinks and acts at home. There are also some truly chilling scenes. This game will definitely stick in my mind for quite some time. Hail, Poinpy, full of Poinpy, the Poinpy is with thee. Blessed art thou among Poinpy, and blessed is the fruit of thy Poinpy, Poinpy. Holy Poinpy, mother of Poinpy, pray for us, Poinpy, now and at the hour of our Poinpy, in the name of the Poinpy, Poinpy, and the holy Poinpy. Amen. Holy shit, it's Poinpy! That's right, Poinpy is here and it's better than ever! With a world of whimsy and a fruit gobbling gremlin at its disposal, Ojiro Fimoto, creator of Downwell, delivers a brand new mobile gaming experience like no other. Topping the charts of my heart, there's nothing more fun than simply climbing the cliffs of Poinpy Land on an epic, heartful quest to feed the beast and conquer those that lay before him. I leave you, the viewer, to bless yourself and every single person you meet with this god-like adventure.
Holy cannoli, kids, I'm Mario, and I'm telling you, if you're not watching
What happens if you can't stop fighting on the Taiko no Tatsujin official YouTube channel?
you're gonna turn into a Goomba!
Rhythm games are undoubtedly fun as all hell, and with how cute the Taiko series is, I was bound to get addicted to it eventually. Many hours have been spent katsuing and donning the night away, from Rokuchonin to Ichiya Monogatari, to Sugar Song and Bitter Step. There are plenty of absolute bops that can very much stand on their own 2 feet, but are enhanced greatly by the incredibly fun gameplay. I specifically played the Rhythmic Adventure duology, and what they present is a surprisingly fun yet simple adventure through time and across the world respectively. There are certainly a few minor gripes I have with these story-based adventures, but at the end of the day it's more joyful drumming fun. Someday I hope to become a true Taiko master and own the Taiko no Tatsujin drum controller because oh my god, this looks so fun, I need so bad! Everyone knows the Phantom Thieves from the hit game Persona 5. They're really cool and all, but what if they were musical? And French? Well, imagine no more, mi amigo, for on the Nintendo 3DS family of systems, we have the amazing Rhythm Thief. Take to the streets of Paris as you stealth your way through the city's most famous locations, all to uncover the truth. With a soundtrack filled with tempestuous jazz, there will be non-stop head-bopping action throughout the entirety of the game. There's also a genuinely fantastic story to go with this, alongside some very likeable characters. The thing that stood out the most about Rhythm Thief is its controls. Sometimes it'll just use some simple button prompts, but other times it'll use the touchscreen in a large variety of ways. And sometimes it will even use motion controls, which I've never really seen a 3DS game use before. Overall, it is such a fun rhythm game, and I would 100% recommend it if any of you own a 3DS. This next award is titled, The Sky is Falling. There's one game out there that fits this criteria, where an impending doom slowly lingers throughout. Chicken Little for PS2. This game is a masterclass of video game design, world building, and storytelling. There are so many little details throughout the 3 days, it genuinely feels like a place that's lived in, and the fact that it ties so heavily into the gameplay is simply incredible. Despite being able to rewind time, I still felt that looming over me the entire game. It was genuinely terrifying. I ended up spending 2 days straight just 100%ing everything because of how perfect the game's atmosphere is. It still managed to immerse me completely into its world in spite of how old it is. Thank you, Chicken Little for the PS2 for delivering such a fantastic world to explore. Next up, we've got the Justice Award, for the game that most needs its comeuppance. There's one game which I truly believe needs to be talked about more, and that game is Raccoon Adventure Animals OBJECTION! This award is called the Colgate Award, and that's purely because the word I initially wanted to put here sounds like Colgate, so I thought it would be funny. If you've ever woken up and drank a freshly brewed cup of pure unadulterated existentialism, then you know what it's like to play the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I feel like I'm not good enough to put into words how what this game is. It's funny, it's weird, it's so out there. Every patch gives you something to think about, whether that's the current state of the video game industry or what it even means to be a person. But that was all in the base Stanley Parable. I played the Ultra Deluxe version. This is the definitive version purely because of Bucket. I love Bucket. Bucket is the best. I wish I could see Bucket every day. Now, this next game is something I'm sure many of you are familiar with, Plants vs Zombies. But I'm sure you haven't played the Nintendo DS version. That's right, PvZ has a DS release, and I genuinely think it's my favorite version of the game. The low-res sprites and music have such a distinct charm to them, and it's something I so oddly love. The DS's touchscreen also makes this one of the best ways to control the game too. It feels so much better than other touchscreens, and the stylus always fits so snugly into my hand. This version also has a wholly original minigame to play, and I found it to be so fun and interesting that I used it as the prime inspiration for my college assignment. In general, PvZ has always been one of my favorite games. It has such a simple gameplay loop and has such an addicting flavour. My only complaint is that the regular campaign is pretty easy, but this is somewhat rectified by the way more difficult minigames and side modes. Last year, I gave one of my more prestigious awards to 999. This game was such a mindfuck adventure, and it told one of the greatest stories I have ever witnessed. And it was on the fucking DS! This year, I continued the journey with Zero Escape, Virtue's Last Reward, the sequel to 999. To start, the gameplay has taken a step up. Both games have some incredibly fun escape rooms, but something about this one just feels so much better. They introduce bonus rewards to every puzzle too, and they always add quite a bit to the world building or lore. There's also the addition of the flowchart. It was quite annoying trying to traverse each ending in the first game, so the flowchart is certainly a welcome change. Now on to the big stuff. This game is another fucking what? Most of it is fairly simple, but we do get to learn loads about all of the different characters, and I was constantly theorizing about what could possibly be going on. Then you get to the final true ending. Some of the endings were already super mindfucky, but the true ending wasn't just a mindfuck, it was a mindfucking annihilation. I can't even begin to describe what was going on, but I can try my best to sum up how I felt. The final twist made all the cogs in my brain start smoothly turning. It wasn't anything I had ever expected, but it's made so much sense. I could feel a huge sense of understanding flow all through my mind as they drop lower after lower. This was the final payoff. I had stayed up all night, not getting a single drop of sleep just for this ending, and it was so worth it. Virtue's Last Reward may not be as amazing as its predecessor, but it's still one of the greatest stories ever told, and I absolutely cannot wait to sink my teeth into the next and final game in the trilogy. For the past year and a small bit of 2022, I've been trying to play every single 2D Mario game. Not for any reason in particular, just because I thought it would be pretty fun to see how far the series has come. And I played all of them, from the original on NES to the Luigi DLC on Wii U. This award is to be given to the best pre-2023 2D Mario game that I played. That game is New Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS. It was a staple of my childhood, so there is most definitely some bias here, but there is no doubting how much of a fun return to form this game was for the 2D Mario series. It was the start of the New Soup rot, but it was the original New Soup, so you can't really hold that against it. As per usual with Super Mario, every level has something unique to bring to the table. This, alongside the additions to Mario's moveset, makes the entire game such a blast to run through. Every world ends with a castle, and in every castle lies some of the most unique bosses in all of 2D Mario. They may just be bigger versions of pre-existing enemies, but they've always left such a lasting impact on my memory. The new soundtrack is so joyful and just so Mario, and this is all just in the regular campaign. Let me introduce you to the extra game modes. Mario vs Luigi is one of the simplest and funnest multiplayer games to ever exist, and it is an absolute tragedy that it has not once returned in some official capacity. There is also the minigames, a large collection of bite-sized treats, which includes one game which has totally not given me a gambling addiction, and I swear, just let me keep going, I'll do it, I'll win, I won't lose again, I only lost last time, because he's a hack, he's a fucking cheat, Luigi is a fucking monster! Next up is the Old School Cool Award for the best retro game I played this year. And that's actually a lie. There are a plethora of other retro games that I think are a whole lot better than The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. But this game does something different than those games. It gave me a greater appreciation of not just pre-GameCube era games, but video games as a whole. Never before would I think an N64 game of all things could make me burst into tears, but it did. I also begun playing Phantom Hourglass this year. When I booted up the file select for the first time, I just sat there. I sat there and I cried. Hearing that angelic melody again just made me remember how incredible Ocarina of Time was. The game may be filled with flaws, but I simply don't give a single shit. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever experienced. There isn't much more I can say, but thank you, Ocarina of Time. Now it's time to get ready for the Game of the Not Year award. This award goes to the greatest game I've played in the year 2023 that itself did not come out in the year 2023. This award goes to the 2017 Nintendo Switch release, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And god fucking damn it, why did I have to love this game so much more than the first? The first game got me hooked on the series, and after beating it, I decided that I wanted to go through every other Xenoblade Chronicles game. So evidently, the next logical step was the sequel. I had heard prior that this was a very good game, but it was the worst of the trilogy, and had some very, let's say, unwanted moments. After playing it from start to end, I can say that I 100% agree with that sentiment. Although I've yet to play the third game, so it's more like I 66.6 recurring percent agree with that sentiment. The story and world building simply just hit me so much harder, especially at the end of chapter 3. I never in a million years would have expected that death. It literally made me cry so hard that I ended up getting sick for the entire week. Although that was probably just a coincidence. But they continued to deliver past that chapter. So much tragedy and hardship was endured throughout this magnificent adventure. It truly is a story that I will cherish for years. Despite this, I didn't like the cast as much. Nia and Poppy were definitely outliers, and I loved them both so much. But Tora instantly dropped to the bottom of the list once I discovered that scene. Rex wasn't necessarily a bad character, but he just felt a bit meh. Zeke and Pandoria were certainly great characters, but I felt they were quite underutilized. Same with Morag and Bridget, although they did have more screen time, and I do distinctly remember a couple of their standout moments. Then there's Pyra and Mitra, and I do really love these two, but it took me a while to truly grow to love them. Also, Joe Mark is here, and he's a great support to Nia, so he gets my stamp of approval. Overall, the playable cast isn't bad at all, but they most definitely don't hold a cake to the characters of the first game. What this game does do extremely better though is the setting. I already went over how awestruck I was upon discovering the giant ass mechs of the first game. Now imagine that times 100, and that's how I feel about how freaking cool this game's setting is. My personal favourite location is the land of Morita. Atmosphere is the most important aspect of world building in a game for me, and this locale does it impeccably. Before we move on to my game of the year, let's see what my friends enjoyed from 2023. Here's what Leslie has to say. Her game of the year is Gyakuten Live, an Ace Attorney inspired fan game for an idol anime. Strap yourself in. This game sees the main cast of the Love Live Nijigasaki anime settle in courtroom-style dramas just like old Phoenix Wright himself. The game doesn't hide its inspiration, at times using the same sound effects from the Ace Attorney series, and the gameplay itself is almost the exact same. You'll cross-examine witnesses, search for evidence, stare at your evidence, and try to pull whatever story out of your ass that you can in order to prove your client's innocent. You may see this and think it's just a simple and fun proof of concept, and Leslie did too, but this game blew her away with the sheer amount of love poured into it. It's full of references to the anime franchise, really good jokes that use the characters phenomenally and faithfully, and really good mysteries and twists that make you constantly second guessing what you know about the case. There's just so much here, and Leslie kept thinking, when does this end? Because she couldn't believe that it was still going. The story had her on the edge of her seat the entire time, and she honestly cried at parts. Maybe she's just bad, but it took her like 9 hours to beat just 2 cases, and the creator does have plans for 4 more. If you at all like Love Live, you simply must play this game, and if you aren't into Love Live, get into it just so you can play this game. Here's what Liam has to say. Liam's favourite thing of 2023 has been music, namely these 6 albums. First off, Zaki by Zaki. Do you like bad, weird, elliptical singing? Do you like not knowing what lyrics are? Do you like post-punk rock but dancier? Then listen to Zaki Zaki Zaki. If you find out what they're yelling about, please God tell Liam. 10 out of 10. Chinese football by Chinese football. We're keeping the self-titular album trend and the not knowing what the lyrics are trend with a Midwest emo album from Wuhan, China that's desperately trying to convince you it's not a Midwest emo album. RateYourMusic.com users dismiss it as an uninspired American football derivative, which rules the album out for anyone who doesn't talk to women their age. Features a song where they do nothing but count to 3. 8 out of 10. Communication, Cultural Curiosity Quotient by CQ. This one's great if you want to hear guitars drowning in TV static, which Liam does apparently. Strong start and amazing end, but a weak middle, so 7 out of 10. Bones in the soil, rust in the oil by Pretend. Guitars go pling pling and the drummer has a seizure. It's awesome. Also, complex time signatures or something. Yay! Liam doesn't know what you want from him really, he just listens to the music. The Spotify lyrics have question marks in them. No one knows what the singer is saying. 7 out of 10. Kusoku Band by Kusoku Band. Go watch Bocchi the Rock. It's good. Even if you don't like anime, trust me, it's good. This isn't an album recommendation. This is Liam telling you to watch Bocchi the Rock. 7 out of 10. Hey all, Stephanie's words here to say I agree with this message, as you can know from earlier when I talked about Bocchi the Rock myself. Although it's a 10 out of 10 for me personally. Now back to Liam's words. Finally, we have Your City Gave Me Asthma by Wilbur Soot. Want to like bad music and hate yourself for it? Want to like music that artists is embarrassed to have made? Well, I'm sorry, and look no further than Your City Gave Me Asthma. It sucks, but so does Murder, and a lot of people stand by Murder. 4 out of 10. Bruh also submitted something. Here's what he had to say. Quote, I like Honkai Star Rail, end quote. Finally, we've made it. The Game of the Year award for the best game I played this year that actually did release in 2023. But before we get into it, I want to read a related passage from my favorite written work. Mario, the Idea versus Mario, the Man by Phil Jameson. Everyone knows Mario is cool as fuck, but who knows what he's thinking? Who knows why he crushes turtles? And why do we think about him as fondly as we think of the mythical, non-existent Dr. Pepper? Perchance. I believe it was Kant who said, experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is mere intellectual play. Mario exhibits experience by crushing turts all day, but he exhibits theory by stating, let's go! Keep it up, baby! End quote. Last year, this award was actually the penultimate award, which was then followed by my Game of the Year, which hadn't released in 2022. But this year is different. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, a 2023 release, is one of the greatest games I have ever played. Imagine you're doing crack cocaine and then someone decided to mix it with the concept of pure fun. That's what Mario Wonder is. I remember sitting in a voice call watching the Nintendo Direct with some friends. I genuinely had no idea what the quote-unquote one more thing would be. And you can only imagine the pure, unrivaled happiness that flowed through that call upon the reveal that they were not just making any old 2D Mario game, but the 2D Mario platformer of my dreams. It genuinely looked like everything I have ever wanted in a new entry, and thus began the wait to anticipation. The game-specific direct only heightened my excitement. I was analysing every frame, scrounging for every little detail I could find, sniffing out the tiniest bit of information. Then October 20th arrives. And I still had to wait because Amazon was late by an entire 24 hours. But it eventually arrived. I have never before had so much fun with a game in my entire life. Absolutely everything about this work of art is chock full of detail. You can truly tell just how much effort was poured into making this game an experience worthy of carrying the Mario brand. I have played hundreds of games in my almost 20 years on this planet. Plenty of them have made me cry, but there's only 2 games that have made me cry purely because of how fantastic they are as games. Smash Ultimate and Hollow Knight. That's why when the credits rolled and I just burst into tears, I knew Mario Wonder truly was something different. Something that I will be thinking about every day for the rest of my life. Please go play this game if you haven't already, and if you had, go play it again. Even if you aren't a big platformer person, then grab a friend to tag along. It will be well worth it. Yowza! This video sure is long, and I still have so many amazing media I need to mention. It's time for the Honourable Mentions Quickfire Bonanza! Oh my god, I have listened to so much city pop this year. Miki Matsubara, Anri, Junko Ayahashi, Maria Takeuchi, Tatsuri Yamashita, and so much more amazing. Check them out. Sakaichi is a band I discovered this year and I instantly fell in love with their entire discography. Never Let You Go by Amoni Take I found 2 days ago as of writing and have already listened to it like 100 times. While Away by Chi is my favourite song of the year. So much vibes and one of the few songs I've paid attention to the lyrics of. Garner Club's Heka Squad had me hooked the moment I read it and I ended up binging the entire thing in a single day. Mobile Suit Gundam, Witch from Mercury's incredible story where cute lessons ride Max and yes and more. Rascal's Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai has a kind of sus name, but I swear it's not rare and actually incredible romantic that really makes you think. I rewatched Black Mirror this year and most of it was pretty awesome. I rewatched Nichijou this year and all of it was fucking awesome. This is my comfort show and I'm rewatching it again next year. I started rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine this year and all of it is fucking awesome. I can't wait to watch more. I rewatched Cyberpunk Edgerunners and actually paid attention to it properly. Man, what a journey that was. Kill Kill Sex Folk, literally just the coolest thing I've ever watched. Trigger never misses. Bungo Stray Dogs was already one of my favorite anime, but then they released season 4 and 5 and holy shit, I think they just came up with the 2 single greatest seasons of television. One Piece. It's One Piece. Episode 808 made me cry harder than I've ever cried before. I couldn't stop for like 2 hours to look up the episode if you haven't seen it, obviously. Unpacking was short and pleasant, very relaxing way to end the day. I want to share Poinpy again because it's Poinpy. Paper Mario is a super simple and enjoyable RPG with an incredible cast of characters and a fun to explore forward. Super Mario World, cool 2D Mario game, really well designed. I can see why people praise it so highly. I found it was an amazing experience and spoke to me on a fairly personal level. Also set in Ireland, which you don't see often. Fire and Ice is a fun puzzle game for NES that I played because of GVG's Game Club. Try and feel like puzzles. I played a whole last Splatoon 3 this year with my friends and it's been super duper fun. Poinpy is here for a third time because I want you all to play Poinpy. By the way, Poinpy's secret game of the year. Oh, we did it. We got through almost everything. There's just one thing remaining. You may have been wondering why the honourable mentions came after the final award. Well, that's because the Game of the Year award isn't the final award. There is one thing that is so utterly fantastic, I just had to leave it to the end. It's better than the pure appreciation I have for Ocarina of Time, better than the beautiful journey I went on in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, better than the joyful fun I get from Super Mario Bros. Wonder, better than anything else on this planet. And it's not even a video game. The greatest piece of media of all time award goes to a film by the name of Liz and the Bluebird. Earlier, I talked about Sound Euphonium. I'm truly obsessed with that series. Liz and the Bluebird is a part of said series, but it is so uniquely different to the show and films that it needs to be talked about separately. This film is a masterpiece in every sense of the word. It is the single greatest thing I have ever had the pleasure to experience, and I'm so glad I did. Absolutely everything about it from start to finish is filled to the brim with love and care. You can tell just from a glimpse how much effort Naoko Yamada and her team have poured into the making of Liz and the Bluebird. What she does absolutely perfect is the use of words, or the lack thereof. Every step, breath, note, sound, and colour adds its own unique perspective to the story. In the opening sequence, you garner a flawless understanding of Nozomi and Mizure's relationship and how they are as individuals, and it's done without speaking a single word. Shortly afterwards, we're introduced to the premise of the film. The two are part of a high school wind ensemble, and their free choice piece for the upcoming competitions is a piece titled Liz and the Bluebird. It's based on a fairy tale of the same name, where a bluebird turns into a human so she can accompany a lone girl. The girl eventually finds out that her friend is a bird and releases her into the wild so she can be free. The point of this story's inclusion is so the viewer can discern the parallels between it and her protagonists. One is a girl who doesn't want to be alone. The other is a girl who can't stay attached forever and needs to create her own path in life. Throughout the film, we see these two develop and understand as they begin to grow further and further apart. Mizure figuring out that she has seemingly no reason to play other than for Nozomi. Nozomi growing envious of the skill that Mizure possesses. They struggle to connect with the characters of the fairy tale. That is, until the realization. Nozomi and Mizure go back to the music room for practice, and Mizure asks if they can start with a later section of Liz and the Bluebird, the one with her solo. What follows is the single most beautiful piece of music you will ever hear. Mizure finally realizes that she can't be held back anymore. She needs to stop playing for Nozomi. She needs to start playing for herself. Nozomi struggles to keep up. Tears form. She can finally release the Bluebird from her cage. The section ends and everyone is moved, but Nozomi is gone. Mizure goes looking for her, and she finds her. They come face to face. What Mizure does is she pours out her love for Nozomi, and while Nozomi doesn't accept the confession, she's happy that they can continue to be friends, and she's happy that she can finally form her own path in life. Sound Euphonium is a series about regrets, but it makes me glad to know that these two won't have any of their own. And that's it for 2023. This year sure has been a roller coaster. I've been through so much. I've played so many games. I've read some amazing manga. I've experienced so much amazing anime. It's insane how much media I've consumed, and they've all just been absolutely incredible. I really hope I can continue this in 2024, but I genuinely don't know. With my college ending, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how much free time I'm going to have, but I do hope I can still play games, watch anime, and all that. And hopefully I'll be able to make another one of these videos. But even if I don't, I still have other video plans for 2024. And while I haven't really started on any of them yet, there are things I do really want to do. So look forward to that if I ever do get around to making them. But, Gyakuten, ongoing hevel. Later, nerds!